everybody. Today I got a video on how we are going to make thumbnails or logos. I have a friend in a Discord channel that wanted me to create a logo for his YouTube channel, which he records Valorant. So go check him out. His username is going to be Spotify user. I've created other ones for him, and I don't know if anyone watches this, if they use like was it Magic Effects or whatever it's called, After Effects on like Apple or Photoshop, but Photopea is online and it is absolutely free and it's like a clone of Photoshop. There's a little things that make it a little more difficult, possibly, but and I'm talking about just like hotkeys and just quick things you can tap with controls. Sometimes it doesn't do the same, but you can literally go to file, edit, image, layer, all those up top and get to the same thing that you would like to in Photoshop. And you're not paying the fee that you would need for Adobe. So today we're going to show you how to make a quick, I don't know what you want to call it, logo with like this little blurred out watery effect at the bottom. And it's quite simple. So we'll start over here with the new project. This is what'll show up when you go to photopea.com for the first time, or not the first time, just whenever, because it doesn't save it to like the cloud. You save it to your computer, and every time you go back, you start over unless you sign. There's no point. So you can name it what you want. I never do, but for the purpose of this, we Spotify user. That's his name. 1920 by 1080. Obviously, it's gonna be different depending. If you got a 1440 monitor, 4K monitor. But when you upload to like Facebook or, well, I don't even know actually. I think YouTube is smaller, but it's gonna depend. It's gonna shrink it on its own. But if you go bigger and it's gonna have more details. When you shrink it, it's all gonna stay there. It'll look great still. With DPI, put to 300. That way, it's clear. All right, so here we're gonna start. Got the background white. Doesn't really matter. And I'm gonna pull in a, a photo that I have. Just gonna drag it in from what I saved to the computer. I'm gonna shift and drag this corner. That way it stays within the same dimensions of that 1920 by 1080. If I let go of the shift and I just drag it, I can go up or down. So now it's all distorted. It's not the same. But if I shift it and I go down or right, it's gonna keep it the same. And for this specific background, it doesn't really matter. But when you have photos of like of an actual image of maybe a person or like a screenshot, it's gonna look all distorted or smushed together or really stretched out if you don't do the shift. And so right there we have our little background. And I'm gonna go down here, click new layer. And so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get the text. I'm down here to the type tool, and it comes up really, really tiny every time. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump up here and go to 500, enter, and this will be the font right here that you want to use. And I believe it comes all from like Google, and you can go ahead and preview all this stuff or select which ones you want to remove to shorten the list. But the font that Spotify user specifically wanted was 80s, little cursive style. So if you go to defont.com, you can browse many of them, all kinds, and come over here to click download. It'll give you a zip folder, and you just gotta extract it all. You just gotta extract all the stuff to a file on your computer, and then you can, from there, you'll click load font, and we're gonna click, well, right there, 80s. Gonna load it, then we'll find it. All right. So now we're gonna type in Spotify user. I could have selected color first. I'll go ahead and do that. Just erase it real quick instead of highlight. So he wanted like kind of like a lime green, kind of like Spotify-ish color. Well, Spotify's pretty dark green, but his example that he showed me. I can't pull it. We'll go with this. And now we're just gonna type Spotify user. And so as you can see, it's not big enough, but we're gonna center it. Very positive that's gonna be too well. So right here, it won't let me drag it unless I click Control and Shift, or you can come up here to this little mouse move tool. Then you can do it from here, Shift, drag it big. And I'm gonna recenter it again. And from here, so we wanna flip it to give it a blurry effect underneath, right? So for now, this font size would be big enough. So we're gonna right click this the Spotify user text. We're gonna click duplicate layer, and now you can't see it, but it's under there. But if we come up here to edit, transform, flip vertical, now you can see it's all flipped in there. We're just gonna drag that one down, keep it centered, down there. And from here, we can, since it's all clicked already, the Spotify user copy is already highlighted. We can go to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur. So the Gaussian blur grabs all the pixels of it, and it's like, I don't know the calculations of it. It just blurs all smooth. Oh, we got to rasterize first. Let me explain what that is. So right now we have it on just the text. When we rasterize it, it pixelates it and allows us to adjust the pixels within this little layer. So we could change the coloring and the blurs of it, stretch it out. Could even remove the inner text to make it like see through, for if you want to put a block, like square block behind it. There's all kinds of things you got to do with the rasterize. So it went ahead and did it for us. Click the Gaussian blur again, and as you can see now, just with the 7 pixels, it's barely blurred out, but you tell by how smooth, or how more, yeah, the lines just look more smooth. But we're gonna go up here and adjust it about 50 or so. Just gonna change 5. So now it's got that shadowy type of effect. But we're not done here. So now, remember, we have like these little orbs of green, and we got to create that. And there's many other things. If you look at the videos I've uploaded, there's ways to do it with like a light, like a sun shining down, and like the shadows on the edges, and give it more depth. But from here, we're going to click the black space. I want to give this background. I want to remove some of the tiny dots and I want to give it more of a blue color. So I'm going to Control M. It's going to pop up the curve line for like saturation and all that stuff. And I'm going to pull it to the right, disappear some. Pull this one down. And it's not too much of a difference, but it gives it more space in the background. I didn't like all the stars. And now, hit that one. So we could simply merge all these, or sorry, rasterize. So now they're all just in one instead of the layers. And we Control M again. We should be able to change the blue. Bring it up a little bit. There we go. And now we just got to create a little green, little shadow glow, and on the bottom. So it's going to look like there's a green light coming from the top, and then it's going to look like there's a kind of like a puddle with the shadow over the bottom word. And for that, we're going to create another layer. And then we will come over here to the brush tool. Come up to the top right here where this little circle is. I'm going to reduce the hardness. And I'm going to increase the size. As you can see, it's not very big. So I'm just going to go ahead and change that. See what 3,000 is. I'm going to go 7,000. That might be over. Okay, we'll go with 5,000. And I'm going to come over to the right side and find the color that I want. And I think I'm going to go something like this. Go. Just click. There we go. All right, as you can see, it's too heavy right now. So we got to go over to the opacity, and we can reduce that some, as you can see, or we can do the fill. So I'm gonna reduce the opacity some. Then I'm gonna reduce the fill some. See how that looks. Just play around with it a little bit. Let me see. Let me try a different. Control Z. I'm gonna remove those. As you can see, I just removed all the little paint. But I can also add them back with Control, Shift, and Z. Just keep tapping it as many times as I want to add them. I'm gonna try it up here with the smoothness. That's pretty simple. That's really all there is to it. And so let's say that's where you want to end it at. We're going to call it File, Export As, and a lot of times you just save it as a JPG. That works for almost everything. To upload to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. So you'll save it. Come up here, change it back to 1920, 1080. Quality 100%. Or just drag this, save it. Go. easiest. Now you got yourself a little logo. Appreciate y'all watching. Don't forget to leave a like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment. Whatever platform you're watching this on, this is going to go to YouTube. Thank you for watching.